Hello there, all my YouTube people. I'm really not sure that I like the mic quality through these headsets. I might continue just to use my computer's mic in the future. Um, I'm just giving this another try. You know, Let me know what you guys think. Um, anyway, you guys saw the title. I am kind of mama hoo hoo about um, how I feel about AI. Although I do enjoy having conversations with ChatGPT. Since the wife left, I just don't really have. Hey, stop, stop. Sorry, cat fight. I just don't really uh, have the opportunity to converse as much as I used to. So ChatGPT and I talk a lot, and I had it give me seven reasons why temp work sucks. And I actually agree with these. So I'm going to go ahead and just do an AI assisted video today. Um, as I was reading over some of these, one thing I kind of came to realize is that about 90% of these could be why regular work sucks too. Um, you know, uh, okay. So these are from one to seven. They're not in any particular order. It's just a list. So here we go. Seven reasons why temp work sucks. Number one, no job security. You're disposable. A company can end your assignment with zero notice, and there's usually no severance, warning, or recourse. One day you're useful, the next you're gone. And having experienced this a couple of times now, I would say that that is the case. Uh, Now, I don't know that it's any different with a regular job because the couple of regular jobs I've been let go from, they kind of, you know, handled it sort of the same way. There wasn't really any notice per se. Um, I have worked for a couple of places that had like a whole like policy and everything like that. Like it was essentially impossible for you to get fired right away unless you killed somebody or something like that. Um, I would say, however, that stop it, you two. I would say, however, that there's not a great deal of security in regular work these days either. You usually still have some probation period to go through and such. One thing I have noticed the last few times I've worked for this temp agency is that they're kind of, it's like they're trying to let everybody, as many people go as possible right after, training and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. Number two, low or inconsistent pay. Temp agencies often take a cut of your wage and you might not even know how much. Plus, there's no guarantee of consistent hours or long term income. All that is absolutely true. However, um, you're usually pretty ignorant to what they're taking out of your check because you don't know what the actual staff at the company is making. They're usually not allowed to tell you. But one company I worked at, once you went perm, your salary went up like $4. So um, yeah, you're not making quite as much as you could working directly for the company. I mean, the temp agency has to make something. Um, Number three, limited advancement opportunities. Most temp workers, you're kind of just there to fill a gap. They don't necessarily plan on you to grow. They can dangle that in front of you. More on that later. Um, But companies rarely promote temps or offer training because you're seen as temporary labor, not an investment. I have been trained the last two temp jobs I've had, but it was literally like 2 days of training, like the shortest training I've ever had. And like not in a good way. Most people think training is too long. This would be like um, this last temp job, if I'm completely honest, I was never quite sure that I was doing it 100% right, you know? Number five, uh, second class treatment. There might be some truth to this. Permanent employees often get better equipment, perks, and respect. Temps are the outsiders, sometimes excluded from meetings, team events, or even basic communication. Um, as far as being excluded from like meetings and communication, I haven't had that happen yet. In fact, I've had to go to a lot of that stuff, just as much of that stuff as the regular employees do. But the standard employees do kind of treat you weird. Yeah, there is this sort of like, hey, you're just not as important as you think you are. And there's kind of another thing to consider. Like sometimes if you get a temp position at like a bank that's going to go permanent, um, they want you to work there like 2 years. Now, if there was like a steady amount of work coming in for whatever they're having you do, because banks always do other stuff than banking. If like they're having you sort documents and stuff like that, and there's a steady amount of work coming in for a couple of years, and you can actually work there a couple of years, you probably will go permanent. It probably will happen. But the situation now is that they're so full up with their own staff that really they only need temp workers really just to fill the gaps. Um, JPMC is in a situation with their work right now where I just really doubt they need any temp workers at all, like, period. Um, but it is possible to go permanent. Um, these places seldom hire out, and the other thing is another little misnomer, and this is actually they do hire out of the temp force. That's sort of the point. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to hire somebody off the street and train them when like all your temp workers have training. And they're all there to pick and choose from. So not only are you there to fill a gap, you're also there to you know get cold into the regular flock uh, if it you know is something they can do for you. But you can also just get plain cold if there's not enough work. And if there's really not enough work and they've already gotten rid of all the temp workers, like the regular staff's going to be next. Okay, number six, um, unpredictable schedules and assignments. You might work full time one week, part time the next, or get shuffled between sites. There's no stability, and that unpredictability kills any chance of planning your life. Uh, I haven't been shuffled between sites. That could have happened the first job I had, but I didn't get shuffled between. I haven't been shuffled between sites. Um, but I have had. So not only are you there to get called out if necessary, if there's no work, or take a permanent spot if necessary, you are also there to go home if necessary. So you really aren't, guaranteed even a full shift. And they will like, so like this last job, I was home for I believe 2.5 weeks at one point, and then a week at another point, and then did a bunch of like quarter and half days in there. So, I mean, almost not working, you know. Um, but if you're one of those people who's going to just sit on the clock, those tend to be the first people to go. The people who are going to stick around longest are kind of helping the company save money. So you got to kind of make a call there. And number 7, empty promises of temp to perm. Agencies love to dangle this could turn permanent line, but most of the time it never happens. It's a hook to get you to take the gig and stay hopeful. Plenty of people do go permanent, but uh, in my experience, out of every uh, hiring class, you're probably looking at, you know, if there are 10 people in the class, 12 people in the class, you're probably looking at one or two people out of that class going permanent. I mean, it's most people just finish their contract out. But yeah, I would tend to agree with most of those. I would maybe add a few caveats as well. Um, I understand we're in an at-will state, and you can just get let go from a regular job um, just as quickly as a temp job, like here in Texas. I think there's only one non-at-will state in the nation, and I don't remember which one it is. Um, but uh, the the way that a temp job can end is very impersonal. Um, you usually get let go with an email, right? If your rep wants to talk to you, that's usually good news in some ways. You are going to get laid off, let go, probably, but if they're talking to you, that means that it had nothing to do with you, and you're probably eligible for rehire. But let's talk about that real quick. What if after you leave the bank job, you get a warehouse job? Let's just say, for example, and even though that warehouse job isn't as ideal and it's a little more um, than you really want to deal with, it looks like it's going well. You can do the work despite it being tough, and it looks like a thing that could go permanent, right? Well, if you were to go back to bank job, you would work 2 hours less a day and make about the same money. But you already know that if the work dwindles again, they're going to let you go. You know, uh, you have to very kind of strategically think about how you're going to, manage things like that. I think that also there can be a strategy to the way that you uh, move on to your next assignment because it usually takes, 3 weeks to a month to get you started in your next assignment. That's sort of like when they look to start hiring people for the next training class or whatever. Uh, so if you say are doing an 18-month contract and they've made it pretty clear to you that you're not going to continue past that, um, the thing to do would be to get with your recruiter, with your temp agency, a couple months, a month before your contract's going to end. Okay. Now this is if you know when that is. Okay. We're assuming under this scenario that you're there haven't been any problems. You're on like an 18-month contract and you're going to finish it out, right? Or you're on a seasonal thing, let's say, at a warehouse. You're a seasonal picker, so from like mid-October to the first week or two of January, um, you're gonna be uh, you're gonna be really busy, but kind of come mid-January, maybe even a little sooner, maybe even early January, you're gonna be out of a job. So really, the thing to do is to start having your recruiter kind of work on the job for you in, say, you know, uh, December, you know, in mid-November, December, like see about like trying to get your next assignment lined up then. You can probably even ask your recruiter if they have anything that's sort of, going to be coming up in a couple of months, or something like that. So I think that there might just be a strategy to working the temp circuit. I don't. I'm thinking it's kind of less ideal in some ways. It's be a really good way to have a very scattered resume. You know, like, okay, you did this for a month, you did this for 3 months, you did this for a year, you did this. Uh, it's it's rough because it's experience, but it's not really done it long enough to warrant putting it on a resume. So, but at the same time, you can't have huge employment gaps either. So, I don't know. I guess the thing to do would be to put it down and just note on your resume, got through temp agency or whatever. Um, anyway, like I may or may not have said, it is my last night house sitting at the place here. I have a little cleaning up and tidying up to do. Um, so uh, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Probably take a quick little power nap and then get all that stuff done. Feed these gatos one last time in the morning, and you know try and get home before these folks get back home around noon. So just try and get back home as soon as I can. Anyway, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for doing that. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'm really trying to grow my channel. Uh, you know, Let me know what you guys want to see. It seems like you guys like all my videos about jobs and relationships, but I don't know that that's necessarily, what I want my channel to be about. I'm just kind of doing that stuff right now because that's what's going on for me the last few years. Anyway, everybody, um, good night. Holy crap, my thing right here looks a lot like James Gandolfini's, doesn't it? Anyway, have a good night, and goemonronin signing out.